Welcome back to the Deep Dive. For those just joining us on this channel, we do a deep dive into a chapter of a popular self-development book, really trying to unpack all the great ideas and help you get the most out of it.
Yeah, we want to squeeze every ounce of wisdom out of these books, right?
Exactly. We don't want to just skim the surface. We want to really understand how these ideas can actually change our lives. And this week we're back with Atomic Habits, unlocking the secrets to staying consistent with your goals, which is something I know a lot of us struggle with.
Oh, absolutely. Because we all know that feeling, right? That amazing surge of motivation when you're crushing it day after day.
Yeah, you're on a roll.
But how do we make that feeling last? How do we bottle that up and keep it going? That's exactly what we're exploring today.
I love that. So we're diving into Chapter 16 this week.
Yeah.
And James Clear introduces a strategy that's so simple, it almost seems too good to be true.
It really does.
And it involves something that you probably have lying around your desk right now.
Paper clips. Paper clips.
I
No,
thought
it sounds a little strange.
Yeah, paper clips are not the first thing that come to mind when I think about, building life-changing habits.
Yeah, right. But trust me, there's a method to this madness.
Yeah.
And it all starts with a story about a rookie stockbroker named Trent Dursman back in 1993. He had this crazy idea to use paper clips to track his sales calls.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So picture this. 2 jars on his desk. One full of 120 paper clips, representing his daily goal.
Okay.
And the other empty. After every call, he'd move a single paper clip to the empty jar.
Okay, I'm picturing it 2 jars, paper clips, moving them back and forth. But what's so special about that? What's the big deal with moving paper clips?
It's all about the power of visual feedback. You see, we're visual creatures. We respond to what we see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Dursman essentially created a visual representation of his progress in real time. And guess what? Within 18 months, he was bringing in $5 million to his firm.
Wow. So he turned paper clips into millions. That's incredible. But could this really work for any habit?
That's the beauty of it. The paperclip strategy is just a tangible example of a broader principle, making your progress visible.
I like that, making it visible.
You could apply this to writing, working out, really anything. Let's say your goal is to write a page a day. Every time you finish a page, move that paperclip. The visual act of moving it reinforces the behavior, creates a sense of accomplishment that keeps you motivated.
Yeah, I can see how that would be way more satisfying than just checking a box on a to-do list.
Absolutely. And that sense of satisfaction, that's what fuels that long-term consistency.
Yeah, I think that's something that we all crave, right?
It taps into something called the Zeigarnik effect,
Yeah.
which basically says our brains are wired to remember unfinished tasks. So by seeing that jar slowly filling up with paper clips, you're constantly reminded of your goal and how far you've come.
It's like your brain is giving you a little nudge.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're almost there.
Exactly. And this brings us to a concept that's really at the heart of today's deep dive habit tracking.
Okay, habit tracking.
You can think of it as the big brother of the paperclip strategy. The principle is the same, but it can take many forms.
Okay, let's talk habit tracking. So it's basically just a way to measure whether or not you did a habit.
Yep.
Got it. But why is it so powerful?
Well, Clear argues that habit tracking makes a behavior obvious, attractive, and satisfying. It hits those 3 key elements that he talks about throughout the book.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
Let's start with making it obvious. Think of a habit tracker as a visual cue, a gentle reminder from your future self. Whether it's a marked calendar, an app, or even a jar of paper clips, it's right there staring you in the face.
Yeah, I was actually struggling with this recently. I was trying to drink more water.
Yeah.
But I kept forgetting. And so I finally started marking it on my calendar. And guess what? It worked.
It works.
Just that simple act of visually seeing my progress. It made all the difference.
It's powerful. And there's actually research to back this up. Studies show that people who track their food intake lose twice as much weight as those who don't. It's about making the behavior you're trying to build more salient, more present in your mind.
Yeah, you're bringing it to the forefront.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered obvious.
Uh-huh.
What about attractive? How does tracking make a habit more appealing? Because that's a tough one.
Think back to the paperclip example. What's more motivating? A blank to-do list or a jar filling up with paper clips?
Definitely the jar.
Seeing progress unfold before your eyes is incredibly rewarding. Each check mark, each paperclip moved, triggers a little hit of dopamine in your brain, making you feel good and reinforcing the habit.
It's like watching your savings account balance grow.
Yeah.
Even small gains feel exciting.
Yes. And I bet this is especially helpful on those days when motivation is low.
Oh, for sure. Those days when you just don't feel like doing anything.
On those tough days, looking back at your tracker can be a powerful reminder of how far you've come. It's a way to tap into your past successes and reignite that motivation. It's like a visual pep talk from your past self.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered obvious.
Yes.
We've covered attractive. What about satisfying? How does that tie into habit tracking?
Think of it this way. The act of tracking itself becomes a mini reward.
Okay.
It's like you're building this chain of successes, Remember Jerry Seinfeld's don't break the chain method?
Oh, yeah.
He would mark an X on his calendar for every day that he wrote jokes,
Right?
creating this visual chain of successful days. It wasn't about writing the perfect joke every day. It was about showing up consistently
Right.
and enjoying the process.
And, even Benjamin Franklin was a fan of habit tracking.
Oh, he was all about it.
He had this intricate virtue tracker where he meticulously recorded his progress on 13 personal virtues.
Yeah.
Talk about dedication. But it's amazing to see how this simple idea has been embraced by such diverse individuals throughout history. It clearly taps into something fundamental about human nature.
It really does, and that's what makes habit tracking so powerful. It's not just a productivity hack. It's a way to align your actions with your values and create a life you're proud of.
I love that. So inspiring. But I'm guessing some people out there are thinking, habit tracking sounds like a lot of work.
It can.
Like one more thing to add to my already overflowing to-do list.
I get it. It can feel overwhelming, especially when you're already juggling a million things. And that's why Clear dedicates an entire chapter to addressing this resistance.
Okay.
He offers some brilliant strategies to make tracking easier, and we're going to dive into those next. So you're thinking habit tracking sounds like a chore, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it could easily become just one more thing to add to an already super long to-do list.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
But James Clear offers some really clever workarounds to make it easier. First, he suggests leveraging systems you're already using. You'd be surprised how much you're already tracking without even realizing it.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, just think about it for a second. Your credit card statements track your spending habits, right? Your fitness tracker monitors your activity levels. And your calendar, well, it's a record of how you spend your time. They're all forms of habit tracking just in disguise.
It's like having this whole team of invisible data analysts working behind the scenes.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is you don't have to lift a finger to make it happen. It's all about becoming aware of the data you're already collecting and then using it to your advantage.
Okay, so that's automation. Got it. What else can we do to make tracking feel less daunting?
Clear's second suggestion is to prioritize. You don't need to track every single habit you have. Just focus on the ones that are most impactful, the ones that are really going to move the needle in your life.
So it's about quality over quantity.
Precisely. Pick the habits that will have the biggest ripple effect.
I like that. And what's the third suggestion?
Oh, right. The third one is all about immediate recording. This means logging your progress immediately after the habit occurs.
So if I finish a workout, I immediately log into my fitness app. And if I meditate for 10 minutes, I mark it on my calendar right then and there.
Yeah.
No delaying, no excuses.
Exactly. Make it a seamless part of your routine. That way you're way less likely to skip it. Think of it as stacking your tracking habit right on top of the habit you're trying to build.
Okay, this is making so much sense. I'm really starting to see how habit tracking can be less about burden and more about empowerment.
That's the goal. It's about taking control of your behavior and becoming the architect of your habits. And even if you're not a hardcore data nerd, I think you'll find that even just a few weeks of habit tracking can be incredibly revealing. It's like holding up a mirror to your actions and seeing where your time and energy are really going.
Okay, so let's say we're on board with tracking, we've got our systems in place, we're feeling good. But what happens when life throws us a curveball and we miss a day? Does the whole thing just fall apart?
That's where Clear's never miss twice rule comes in. It's about understanding that, slip-ups are inevitable, but it's how we respond that matters.
So missing once is an accident.
Exactly.
Missing twice is the start of a new pattern.
Precisely. It's that second miss that can really derail your progress,
Yeah, like a snowball effect.
But the never miss twice rule is all about resilience. It's about getting back on track as quickly as possible.
Okay, so it's like learning to ride a bike. You're going to fall a few times. But the key is to just get back on and keep practicing.
That's a great analogy. And remember, even those quote-unquote bad days where you might not be able to fully stick to your habit can still be valuable.
Oh, how so?
They're actually opportunities to reaffirm your identity as the type of person who prioritizes their goals.
So even if I only manage to squeeze in a 5-minute workout instead of my usual 30 minutes, I'm still reinforcing that I'm the kind of person who shows up for themselves.
Precisely. It's about sending that signal to yourself that you're committed. even when things get tough, you know? And
Yeah.
it's about recognizing that consistency isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it.
This is all incredibly helpful. But I have another question for you. What about those times when we're tracking our progress, but the results just aren't showing up, on the scale or in our bank accounts or wherever we're hoping to see change?
That's where things get really interesting. And it's where understanding a concept called Goodhart's Law can be incredibly valuable.
Okay, Goodhart's Law.
Yeah. Have you heard of it?
I don't think so.
Well, Goodhart's Law states that, quote, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure, end quote. In other words, when we focus too narrowly on a specific metric, we can actually lose sight of the bigger picture.
Okay, I think I need an example to really wrap my head around that one. It sounds a little bit abstract.
Sure. Imagine a restaurant owner who becomes like totally obsessed with increasing their daily revenue. They might start offering discounts or cutting corners on the quality of their ingredients just to hit that target number.
But that could backfire, right? They might end up losing loyal customers who value quality over cheap prices.
Exactly. They've become so fixated on the number that they've lost sight of what truly matters, which is creating a great dining experience and building a sustainable business.
That's a perfect example. I get it now.
Uh-huh.
So how do we avoid falling into this trap?
It's about being mindful of the metrics we choose to track and making sure that they align with our overall goals. So instead of just focusing on revenue, that restaurant owner might also track customer satisfaction, repeat business, or the number of positive reviews they receive. These metrics paint a much more holistic picture of success.
Yeah, it's like choosing the right compass to guide you on your journey. If you pick the wrong one, you might end up miles off course.
Exactly. And this applies to so many areas of life, right? Think about it. Are you working long hours just to hit a target? Or are you focusing on doing meaningful work? Are you obsessing over your step count without considering your overall health and well-being? It's about asking ourselves if we're measuring the things that truly matter.
This is such a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in chasing those shiny numbers without pausing to ask ourselves if they're actually leading us where we want to go.
It really is, and that's why it's so important to celebrate those non-scale victories, especially when it comes to goals like weight loss.
Non-scale victories.
Oh.
Like that.
The number on the scale can be frustratingly slow to change, but you might be experiencing other positive changes like increased energy levels, better sleep, or even improved body composition.
So even if the scale isn't budging, I might be making some really significant progress in other areas. It's about recognizing and celebrating those wins.
Precisely. It's about shifting your focus to those non-numerical indicators of progress and allowing yourself to feel good about those positive changes.
This is honestly blowing my mind.
Mhm.
I'm starting to see habit tracking in a whole new light. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about really understanding the psychology behind our actions.
Yeah.
And then using that knowledge to create lasting change. Wow, this has been a mind-blowing deep dive into the power of habit tracking. I feel like I have a whole new arsenal of tools and strategies to help me stay consistent with my goals.
And remember, it's not about striving for perfection, you know? It's about building a system that supports you, helps you stay motivated, and ultimately allows you to become the architect of your own habits.
I love that becoming the architect of your habits. It's about casting those daily votes for the type of person you want to become.
Yeah.
And as we've learned today, habit tracking can be a really powerful way to make sure those votes count.
Absolutely. Tracking is only one piece of the puzzle, though. The real magic happens when you combine it with conscious effort and a deep understanding of why you're building these habits in the first place.
Right? It's about connecting those daily actions to your values and your vision for the future. It's about becoming the type of person who shows up consistently, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be slip-ups along the way. But as long as you have a system in place to help you get back on track, you're setting yourself up for success.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about. What resonated with you most? Was it the simplicity of the paperclip strategy, the fascinating history of habit tracking, or maybe the importance of measuring the right things?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your takeaways in the comments below, and let us know what habit you're going to try tracking this week.
And if you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend who's ready to transform their habits and unlock their full potential. Until next time, keep those habits atomic.